I had a job that I could not stand.
Mm,
Like I was like, I have got to get out of here. I was interviewing, I was not getting any offers. The one time I've ever been in tears in a job, I called my mom. My mom was like, God's got you there for a reason.
yeah, yeah.
Until you figure out that reason, you're not gonna be able to move. And I was like, that is not why I was calling you. But it was true
Right.
because as
Mm-hmm.
horrible as that job was, all of a sudden, instead of me being kind of
Mm,
compartmentalized as far as the way my life was living, now
mm-hmm.
my passion project and my day project are intertwined.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So
Some
high
people feel
up.
stuck in that
I'm so
position. They feel like,
deja vu. I've been here before. Say come back down to earth. Resist the urge. Still don't break. On this court. Live high. Even more. Go for broke. Hustle hard. Lead it all. On the floor. On the floor. Go for broke. Hustle hard. Lead it all. On the floor. On the floor. Lead it all.
welcome to another Let's Dream Big, the CTA podcast. I am your host, the interview expert, Mark Thompson, back with another incredible banging episode. Today, I have a very incredible special guest. She's a mutual friend of a friend of mine. And I said, when I met her, I was like, I gotta have you on the show. If people have been to one of her events, then you are meeting somebody who's just incredible. She's very special to this nation for Black people. I'm telling you. You've been to one of her parties, you've had a great time. And bar none, had probably the best time of your life. And I want to introduce you all to Miss Erika Lewis. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Mark? Thanks for the
I
invite and the great intro. That was fabulous.
am. Hey, look, I told you I mess them up, but I mess up the part that you give me. But yeah, I mean, you deserve all of it. I mean, I'm talking when I don't know a friend of mine or anybody that's African American that hasn't heard of Grits and Biscuits, and you are a co-founder slash founder of Grits and Biscuits. This is, yeah, you're doing your thing. I was in Essence Fest, and it was like, there's a Grits and Biscuits party. I was like, I heard those things off the chain and I haven't gone yet. Like, yeah, you want to go? And I was like, it's too late. We're going to the white party. And it's like, well, next year you got to go. There's one in North Carolina. There's one in DC. There's one in LA. There's one in, I'm like, wait a minute. Why are they everywhere? And then you see a trend of everybody starting to do these national parties. I don't know if you're the first, but I know you're one of the top brands, I would say right now in the nation that is doing incredible things with your entertainment. So let me read your bio because we can get into that. I'm gonna understand. I really want to know. This is exciting to me. How you even got started, where your vision came from, and like you said in your bio, your superpowers. So let me read this, folks. So to the people out there, Erika Lewis, if you don't know her, her superpower is creating spaces of joy. She is a co-founder of Easy Mo Breezy LLC, the entertainment company behind Grits and Biscuits, a nearly 15-year-old nationwide celebration of the Southern experience through DJs, performances, and high-energy down-home hospitality. In addition to the nightlife endeavors, Erika has over 25 years of marketing, creative strategy experience in the entertainment, nonprofit, advertising, and tech industries. She worked with Live Nation, Droga, I said it right, Droga 5, I think we said it right,
That's correct.
Viacom, BBDO, grinding major brands like Nickelodeon, Comedy Central International, General Motors, Budweiser, General Electric, and meaningful connections with key audiences. Erika proudly reps North Carolina roots. She graduated from North Carolina A&T State University. Go ahead.
Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride, BA in Communications, and the University of Michigan's Ross School of Business. Go Blue. In her
Blue.
free time, she loves music, visual arts, college football, March Madness, FIFA World Cup, and inspiring other people's ideas while building her own. Incredible. Incredible. I appreciate you even just giving me this bio because I'm learning so much. Again, the first question that I ask, because it's related to what I do with the career transformation, is kind of the interview process. Podcasts are just kind of set up to see how people in great business, people in the entrepreneur space and careers really work. What is your mindset? How you flow? What is it that you do? So the first question I ask everybody on my podcast is, who is Erika Lewis?
Okay. So who is Erika Lewis? That's a great, interesting question. quite philosophical. I would say I am a Black woman who's very proud of her Southern roots. I come from a very strong family unit of Black people who have done some great things. I mean, my father, both my parents were, I grew up in a household where both my parents were computer programmers, but my father is definitely where I get my entrepreneurial spirit from. When I would come home from college, I have to work the stand at, selling candles at the mall because my father had a candle stand. Like, it was always something different.
Right.
But I appreciated it. I've also come from a family where education is really important. All of my grandparents went to college. 3 out of the 4 actually had master's degrees, which was the motivation for me to go back to school 10 years after undergrad, just because I was like, okay, Eric, you're being lazy, like, get back in it. And so really glad that I did. I am someone who loves the beauty of creativity, very passionate about the arts, music, and visual arts. Specifically, I would say just as passionate about college football and college basketball and the World Cup. I grew up playing soccer, so definitely soccer is a big part of who I am. I hope people view me as a good friend. Sometimes I've been called the voice of reason, and I'm, at the end of the day, someone who really thrives off of other people having a really good time. That's my
And you have
happiness.
you got receipts. How about that? You definitely have receipts. I love what you said about just the beauty of the creativity. And I always guess a topic just by studying who my guest will be and thinking about what would be a great topic. And the topic for you today was the beauty of being a Black entrepreneur. Look how God works. Just
Yeah, there it is.
so this is already, I'm just seeing there's something we have a lot of people who have a lot of different paths and everybody didn't have the same family unit. But I could see the pressure behind that. Your grandparents got a master. Oh, you better get your education. You better get
The funny thing is there was zero pressure.
really.
There was no pressure. I mean, I think in high school, I went to college because that's what you did in my household, but there wasn't pressure of going to this school versus this school. I mean, I come from a long line of Aggies, so, maybe it was subtle, that it was no surprise that I ended up at A&T, but I definitely wouldn't say I ever felt pressure. And the same with grad school. Never felt any pressure. If anything, it was pressure I put on myself, but it definitely didn't come from the people in my family.
Yeah, I could see myself at Thanksgiving. They looking at me like, you ain't got your master's yet, do you?
No, not at all. It's not everybody. Like, again, it was pressure I put on myself. The majority, I wouldn't say everyone in the family went to grad school. Wouldn't say everyone in the family went to undergrad. It's just, it was my path. And you only asked me who was Erica, so I'm only speaking about yes.
I got you. I got you. So would you say your father was the main motivator, or would you also, as a collective, think everybody in your family, as a village, as a tribe, was the one who shaped you into who you are today?
I definitely, if you're talking about shaping me as a person, it was the entire family.
Gotcha.
I grew up in a time where beginning of the summer, you got dropped off at one aunt and uncle's house. And 2 weeks later, they took you to another aunt and uncle's house. And then 2 weeks later, I was at my grandparents' house for 4 weeks. Then, at the end of those 4 weeks, they took me to my other grandparents' house in Maryland. Like, so I was raised by my family, That's family reunions on both sides of the family every year for 60 plus years. I've had jobs where we go on business trips and I'm like, oh, I need to call my cousin. And I've had coworkers say, you have a cousin in every city we go to. And it's
Wow.
like, yeah, I'm close to my second, my third cousins, the grandkids of my grandmother's first cousin are my cousins. And so, and then you throw in on top of that, your parents' best friends' kids who are also your cousins, you know what I mean?
They are. That is a fact.
Definitely raised by a community. No doubt at all.
Man, we talk a lot on here about tribes. We talk about communities. We talk about, that is important. That is super important. That is super important in every journey of your life, because there's a time when you're going to have to leave that tribe and move to your next group of folks. And A&T, I've had several guests on here who've been to A&T, and A&T has a richness of creating family, tribe. I mean, talk about your experience at A&T, the foundation that kind of even probably propelled you even more into who you are. What was that experience like?
I would say it started before, like I said, before I even stepped foot on campus as a student.
Mm,
My father went to A&T. Two of his siblings went to A&T. His father got his master's at A&T. My mom's mom went to A&T. She was a 25-year-old freshman. You know what I mean? Like,
mm,
or she graduated at 25, one or the other. But she was older, and she was the only one in her
mm-hmm,
family that went to college. She was the youngest. And so I definitely grew up around A&T at a very young
mm-hmm,
age. When I was in elementary school, we were in Florida, and we went to NASA to see Ronald McNair on his
mm-hmm.
first launch because he was an Aggie. And so my
Right.
dad was like, "There's an Aggie on going to space, so we're going to go watch the launch of the space shuttle."
Mm-hmm,
I remember as a kid going. My father has lifetime seats on the 50-yard line, and it was
mm-hmm,
a daddy-daughter trip. He would take me or he would take my sister, and we would go to football games.
mm,
When we lived in Florida, we went to go see A&T play Bethune-Cookman, and I got to meet the cheerleader. Like, I remember these very vividly. So
right, right.
the idea of Aggie born, Aggie bred, and when I die, I'll be Aggie dead was very much rooted in me at a very young age. So
That is you.
I would start with that. But I loved what you said about you kind of enter in these different communities. And so when I got to school and got to campus, I automatically gravitated towards the women that were in my dorm, and they became my
Mm-hmm,
crew. And, plus other women that I knew from home who, went to A&T. And then,
mm-hmm,
you know, then you start making friends in your major, and, and then the school, I was in Crosby Hall. So, then
mm-hmm,
it was Barbie Hall for a dorm, then Crosby Hall for classes. And then, later on you start getting into activities. And then, I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta. And so, Alpha Mu is very much my family and my
mm-hmm,
sorority. And so all of those, interactions and the people that I met, at A&T are family to this
mm,
day. I mean, you recently attended. I had a milestone birthday, and it was beautiful to
right.
see people from literally every chapter of my life come
Mm-hmm,
together. And the fact that everyone got along, to me, was just the greatest gift of it all, because I think it's a testament.
yeah.
I believe, I always say this, good people know good people. And so
Mm-hmm,
if my people are good people from this group and they're good people from this group, there's going to be a sync there. Uh,
right.
I think that birthday weekend was really special because it demonstrated that as a proof point, that I wasn't wrong.
Mm-hmm,
If I
right.
collect people in every chapter along the way, my community will only grow and be stronger for it.
Yes, yes. That beautiful time because it was so much great energy. It was so much fun. It was just like, I was like, man, I like all of this. Like, just having a great time.
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah.
with my little fan and everything.
Gotta stay
But I
cool. Gotta
collect,
stay cool.
yeah, that was a true testament to you, though. Even when I'm just looking at it, I was like, wow, people are celebrating you because of who you are, who you've generally become, who you've shared, in football stands. I would have said blood, sweat, and tears, but you probably maybe
Yeah.
shared some joy, happiness, and tears with these people, and they are lifers. I think that impact and what you've done, not just from entrepreneurship space, just because you are as a person, has spread it. And then we'll journey into your entrepreneurship space because now you're impacting people you don't even know. So, how did Grits and Biscuits get started? How did you come up, or I
Yeah.
mean,
It
was it a
definitely was
collective?
a collaborative thing. So I was living in Brooklyn at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And this was my second stint living in Brooklyn after grad school. And I had a group of friends. It was a circle of us, and we used to all hang out together pretty regularly in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of the folks were from all over. But there was one guy in the group who was from down south, just like me, went to an
Mm-hmm.
HBCU, just like me. And at one of our hangs, he had mentioned that he had a friend. He went to Prairie View, and he had a friend who
Mm-hmm.
was a DJ from Prairie View who had sent him a CD of songs that they were playing down south that they weren't playing in New York at the
Yeah.
time. And so he let me and it's a CD. So I just told you how long ago this was. So he let me borrow the CD. I played it in my car. That's how long ago it was. And then
Mm,
when I gave it back to him, I remember we were talking and I was like, it would be really cool to do a party where all you heard was Southern music because you don't hear these songs up here.
mm,
And
mm.
his response was, I've always had that idea, would love to do it. And so then I was like, well, if we do it, we got to have a really cool name. Like, it's got to be a Southern name. And he was like, yeah, something like Grits. And then I was like, I love it. And then he was like, but every good party has two names, Jumpin' Funk, Kiss and Grind, like legendary parties.
Mm,
And so he was like, Biscuits and Grits. And then I was like, I don't know. And then I said, well, maybe we switch the order. And then he was
mhm.
like, cool. And so that's how it started. And then we were
Wow.
originally talking about bringing up a DJ from the South. But at the time, his younger brother had just graduated and was a DJ at FAMU and had brought his DJ equipment up to New York. And he was living in Brooklyn as well. And so his younger brother joined as a threesome. And, we decided that as a collective, so my name's Erika. My friend who let me borrow the CD, that's Alzo. We call him Zoe for
Mhm,
short. His brother is Maurice. And so when we wanted to name what the presenting collective was, we said Easy Mo Breezy, E for Erica, Z for Zoe, Mo for Maurice. So Easy
uh,
Mo Breezy was just a cool name for the trio. And then over time, we brought other truly family members in to expand,
mhm,
so that we can be in as many cities as we've covered over the years. And
mhm,
so now there's like a strong core six. Amir, Vito, and JJ, who are the
mm.
extending members of the team. And the six of us are the ones who really bring Grits and Biscuits to life when you step foot into the venue. So, yeah.
That's that's an amazing story because just the origin of it, a lot of things just happen just by sitting with people and thinking and talking. And like you said, when you got good people around, good things happen,
That's
and I
very
think,
true.
yeah, like even spiritually, good things happen. God's there. I mean, things worked out. You had a vision. Y'all had a vision. You came together and everything just starts falling in place. Now, we'll talk about the hardships and possibly what the mountains were because I'm pretty sure you still had to climb a few mountains to get there, unless it was just simply easy. If it's simply easy, that's what it is. Sometimes it just happens that way too.
Well, I would say, we came up with that phone call where it was like, this is what we should call it. All of that happened in
Mm-hmm.
December. Then we started telling our friends, hey, we got this idea. We're going to do this party. They were like, that's great. We tell them the name. They were like, that's brilliant. And then we didn't do anything. And we were just telling people
Mm-hmm.
we weren't doing anything. And so we got to the point where it was June. I was getting ready to go on a 2-week trip. And I remember talking to Aldo and it was like, look, we've been talking about this thing forever. We need to give
Mm-hmm.
ourselves a deadline. Let's go find a venue. If we don't find a venue by the time I leave for my trip, then we're going to stop talking about it. We're just not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And we went out, we found the venue right away, and then that venue fell through. And
Uh,
so we literally had maybe like 2 weeks or less, 10 days until I was leaving, and we found another venue. And the guy at the venue, and we were like, this is perfect. And the guy at the venue was like, well, have you done parties in New York before? No. Are you guys party promoters? No. We were like, both of us had thrown parties in college. And we were like,
mm-hmm.
we've done stuff like in college, but that was a long time ago. And
Mm-hmm.
all he said was, I like your energy. Let's give it a shot. And that first
Mm-hmm.
party, Maurice had a friend who was an amazing graphic designer. He made us a really cool flyer and we just emailed it. We only promoted via email. We didn't have social media.
Wow.
We emailed it. And then Alzo and I were in the same Bible study and we announced it at Bible study. And we did it old school. We were like, the first hour, it was $5 to get in. First people
Yeah.
up in that party were Bible study. The entire first hour was Bible study people. And we thought we'd get, our goal was to break even, maybe get 200 people, and 500 people showed up in this little venue in Brooklyn.
Wow.
And the venue they were shocked. They didn't know what to do. And we were like, when they were leaving, they were like, when's the next one? What's your Facebook page? We didn't have any of that stuff. And
Wow.
we were just like, stay tuned. And the same way you found out about this one, we'll make sure you find out about the next one. And that's when we realized, oh, this isn't just a one-off. We actually have something here.
You have something amazing. Something amazing. What was the you started in Brooklyn, but when did the ideas, I guess, how far along did it take for you guys to start expanding nationally to different venues?
We started in Brooklyn in 2010, and I think we went to DC and maybe a year later, year and a half. DC was the first place we took it on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember if it was 2011 or 2012. But we started talking about taking it on the road
Mm-hmm.
probably within the first year.
Mm-hmm.
And, part of that was we had lived other places and I had lived in DC
Mm-hmm.
and thankfully had friends who owned, a venue in DC at the time live, and we
Mm-hmm.
brought the concept to them and, they were like, let's do it. And so it wasn't difficult to take it on the road, partly because the venue piece was easy for the
Mm-hmm.
first time, right? So that was the easy part. And then also New York is such a transient town. So what
Mm-hmm.
we were finding was as we would announce the next party in New York, we would get comments from people who had been to parties but had now moved to Chicago or now moved to DC. And they would say, you need to bring this here. This would work here. And so we just followed where people told us to go.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first part, like getting the word out, was following the people. The first venue was definitely the folks that live, like opening up their doors to us, which made it fairly easy there. And then the last part was we started growing in New York, and the third venue we moved into was a Live Nation venue. And they were here on the weekly reports, team meetings, they would talk
Mm-hmm.
about events that happened. And the guy from New York was telling the national team about how this one event was just going really well and we were selling
Mm-hmm.
out every time. And so he came to us and said, our other venues want to open their doors to you. And so that made it
Mm-hmm.
extra easy for us too, because then it was like, all right, now we've got a menu of venues that we can tap into, and we just get to choose the cities. And we focused on the cities where we knew either we had a built-in audience because we
Mm-hmm.
personally knew people in those cities. You look at our FAMU, A&T, and Prairie View. I mean, they have strong alumni, and
Mm-hmm.
most of your major cities, you've got alums
Right.
from those three schools. So tapping into cities where we had a built-in audience was helpful. We also scheduled around events where we knew our audience would be.
Mm-hmm.
National Black NBA is taking place in Philly. All right, let's throw a party in Philly. Made in America is happening in Philly. Okay, let's schedule during Made in America.
Mm-hmm.
The Delta National Convention is happening in Vegas. All right, let's do a party in Vegas. So just like going where we knew our audience would be made it. And we tried it going to some markets where that wasn't the case. Like, let's just do it on a one-off weekend. And it was
Mm-hmm.
hard. It was very hard. And so we just started focusing more of our scheduling, our slates around markets or where we either markets we knew we had an audience or cities where our audience would be.
Good. Good. Question for you is, I'm thinking about this. You're still working a full-time corporate job while you're doing these parties.
We all were.
And I'm pretty sure you all are bringing your corporate brains to the work. How did you create your operational structure? And this is just for folks who are thinking about being an entrepreneur and growing, but you always had to think about who was going to lead what, where, how decisions are made. I'm pretty sure that's something you guys have to be solid, because it sounds like it's very solid.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think very early on we recognize everyone has a different skill set, and let's let folks
Mm-hmm.
lean into their skill sets, right? So, like I mentioned, like Maurice was very plugged into like digital marketing, had,
Mm-hmm.
graphic designers that were friends, so being able to lean into his network to help build the brand visually was important.
Uh,
Alzo he's the only one that didn't have a corporate job, but he's a true Renaissance man. So he had other things that were happening in his life outside of just the party. And so one of the things that he's super talented in is like as a writer and like just a speaker and like the voice of the brand, really, he created that, right?
Wow.
kinfolk and the way the write-ups were, those were all his voice. So that was his lane.
Mm,
I think for me, am still very much like logistics and partnerships with the venues and, figuring
mm-hmm,
out how are we working with this venue and what's our, what do they need and what information is being disseminated. That plus marketing. I think we all touched the marketing,
mm-hmm.
and whoever had the strongest marketing idea at the moment was what would gravitate to the top, but just kind of like focusing on how are we scaling this, the
Mm,
party itself. I think that, that kind of was a bit more my lane. Like, who do we pay? Like,
right.
how can we be resourceful? We show up in a market and for some reason our order of fans didn't show up. Well, I was the one that was like, well, let's find some fans. So we're driving around
Right.
Detroit looking for fans. You know what I mean? Like, let's find a black printer who can print these fans in 24 hours we all had our skill set.
Mm-hmm,
And I think very early on, we decided, one, let folks kind of run and own their skills, their lane of
mm-hmm,
genius. And then two, we never wanted to let any of the individuals be bigger than the brand. And that
mm,
was a value we wrote out after the first party when we recognized we had something, that we were always going
mm-hmm.
to put the brand front and center, never the individual.
That's gorgeous. I'm saying it's gorgeous because I'm writing it down because I'm gonna steal it. But
And it's ugly.
I think that is amazing when you think about how you're strategizing. Because I know a lot of people come together and they have ideas, and sometimes people want to take the idea and they're already thinking about 6 years from now, and they haven't even started by day one. And I think that is important to really think about how and who we are, definitely defining who you're and what your skill sets are and what you're going to be doing, and stay in that lane. Because people like to cross lanes and talk, you know how we do.
Yeah.
We mix stuff up and we get confused, and next you know you don't have a business anymore
Yeah.
because somebody's mad at somebody. So, but you guys are doing that beautiful. But on that note, let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Unlock the secret to outshining your competition in job interviews. Our course will teach you the mindset that turns job interviews into dream job offers. Ever wondered how some people effortlessly ace job interviews while you struggle to make an impression? Mark Thompson, founder and interview expert, has been in your shoes. After years of mastering the art of interviews, he has cracked the code. Now you can learn this code through our course at Career Transformation Academy. Our online course, The Blueprint to Landing Your Dream Job, is a game changer. It goes beyond traditional interview tips to provide you with a mindset makeover. We'll show you how to turn every job interview into a golden opportunity. What's truly valuable is the shift in mindset. We're not just preparing you for interviews. No, we're preparing you for a lifelong journey of career success. So are you ready to take this first step towards your dream job? Book a free session with an interview expert today at www.careertransformationacademy.com. Let's unlock your potential and set you on the path to success with the blueprint to landing your dream job. Don't wait, okay? Your dream career is just a click away. Click on the link in the description and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay. No worries. I'll do the same.
And we're back. So, Erika, you have a lot of knowledge, experience, talent, not only for your entrepreneurship, but in several businesses of marketing. How did you get into it? Like, what was your, as coming from high school, you just said, I'm good to college, I want to be in marketing, or was there something that kind of just, what pushed you into the realm of marketing?
In my first market, so when I was in college, I used to do college radio and I wanted to work in the music industry. So that was my goal graduating from college. And so when I moved to Atlanta, I got a job at an independent label that's no longer around, but they put me in marketing. And so
Wow.
I was, working with this label, figuring out, how are we going to market the product, or I would oversee like shooting music videos and, that kind of thing. So that was probably my first stint in marketing. My minor was business, but it was business because you had to choose a minor, not because and I mean, again, I think that entrepreneurial thing was always around. It's crazy. This is a side note. We were probably 3 years into Grits and Biscuits when my mother reminded me that when I was like 15, and I remembered it after she told me, but she was like, you spoke this into existence. She was like, we were at a restaurant and I was 15 and I told my mom that I thought it would be really cool to have like a party or a club where it didn't matter whatever city you were in, when you showed up, you knew what you were going to get. And you would have screens and you would have DJs from different cities showing up, DJing the party in different cities. But then you always you could go to the same branded, I didn't know the word brand back then, but the same name club in any market, and you were going to get the same energy, vibe, event, or whatever. And said that when I was 15. And then Grits and Biscuits comes around, and no matter what city you go to, I hope people feel like you know what you're going to get. So I think there is something ironic about that. But yeah, so anyway, that was my first into marketing. Then I continued from the independent label. I moved to New York. I worked with ASCAP in their marketing department, performing rights organization. And then from there, I had an opportunity. I got poached by a PR firm, and I was like, oh, PR will be good. I can add that to my marketing toolkit. And I realized very quickly, PR is not for me. I do not like this. I was like, whoo, this is not for me. So I did that for a solid year and was like, I'm out. And then I moved into nonprofit. I say sometimes to cleanse my soul, but also I was doing marketing from a nonprofit perspective with a youth development program called DC Scores, part of America Scores, that I absolutely adored. One of the best jobs I've ever had. And then from there, I was trying to figure out what's next, and I had no idea. So I was like, I'll go to business school, because every industry has a form of business.
Right.
And I focused on marketing in business school. So when I graduated, I went into advertising for a while. And then from advertising, I parlayed that into media, which is where the Viacom, the Live Nation came in, and now tech. And so, I've always just kind of been on this marketing realm. But, I think there's a lot. I just had this conversation recently. I think after all these years in marketing, I realized there's a lot of different types of marketing. It's a very hard to define term and realm. And it is important to figure out the type of marketing you want to do and make sure you find yourself in that path. Otherwise, it can feel very round, peg, square hole.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I can, how you said earlier, you're a creative. You're very passionate about being creative and your creativity. I think you have to have some type of creativity, some type of delusional aspect as well, because you have to continue to think, grow, build, expand, think outside the box, go back inside the box, then back outside again. Like, marketing is a beast. And I applaud anybody who does it, because you really got to be on, it keeps moving. So you got this done. What's next?
I would say that creativity lane of marketing is very true. There's an aspect of it that it is required. I would also say there's a marketing out there that's very formulaic. And to that point of like square peg, round hole, or whichever way. Like, that formulaic marketing takes a certain type of brain too. And if that's your lane, then jump into it. But if you are looking for a creative marketing role and you find yourself in that formulaic path, it will not feel good. And so that's why I say you've got to really kind of ask the questions and explore and get a better understanding of the type of marketing that's taking. I mean, when I was in college, it was in grad school, I got a summer internship at a major brand that I chose that brand because they do a lot of cool stuff in entertainment and sports. And I was like, this is great. But then while I was there, I went and visited their ad agency, and I was like, oh, no. These are the ones that are doing the really creative stuff, the ad agency. So then when I got back to school, I shifted all of my energies into getting a job in advertising, not like it just depends on the brand. There's some brands that are super creative and are doing the creative stuff on the same vein as the advertising, but then there are others that are very formulaic. And so you've got to figure out the right path for yourself.
That's great. That's great. That is great, 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 great. The reason why I'm saying great, 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 because that's all you have is amazing things going on in your whole entire portfolio and career. You've been in so many companies. And I know you said, was it the nonprofit you said was probably one of the best experiences there?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it? Okay.
Yes.
Out of all the other jobs, what would you say has been more, I guess, one of the best experiences you had out of those? Because I think in corporate, I got a lot of folks that approach me in the corporate space. They want to be in a corporate job. They want to be in those areas, but it's tough to guide people in the right company. But what would you say out of those jobs had the right culture, had the right
Companies are different.
concepts? Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Like
difficult.
it
They're
is
beasts.
not, I mean, honestly, the best jobs were the ones where like I woke up and I was like, and it could vary. Like it could be
Mm-hmm.
this Tuesday, this was the best job. That Thursday, that was the best job. But the similarities between both of those moments were the times where I woke up and I was like, or I'm sitting in my office and I'm like, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be, doing exactly what, God gifted me the talents to do. Right. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I realized, I had a job that I could not stand. Like I was like, I have got to get out of here. I was interviewing. I was not getting any offers. I was like, what is going on? The one time I've ever been in tears in a job, I called my mom. My mom was like, God's got you there for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Until you figure out that reason, you're not going to be able to move. And I was like, that is not why I was calling you. You know what I mean? But it was true because as
Mm-hmm.
horrible as that job was, little things, I got a new manager. My new manager knew that I was doing grits. He wanted to come. He came to grits. Then next thing you know, he's like, I want to bring your side project in for a new business pitch. So then all of a sudden, instead of me being kind of compartmentalized as far as the way my life was living, now
Mm-hmm.
my passion project and my day project are intertwined. And that one thing happening opened up me, saw people, the powers that be, to see me differently, brought new
Right.
opportunities to me. All of a sudden, I loved the job. Like I was having fun. And because I loved it and I was having fun, I was doing really cool things. It opened up the door for my next opportunity,
Right.
which was a job where I truly one day was like, all of my experiences have brought me to this point to allow me to do really great work here. And so that's why I say you have to make sure it's the right fit. And sometimes you have to actually get in it to find out it's not the right fit. But
Right.
you've got to take what you've learned from that to pivot to the right fit. And
Right.
so there's not one job that was like the best job. It was the moments of time in that job where everything aligned. That's when it was great. And I've had
This one
that
of
in almost every job I think I've except for maybe the PR job. Almost every job I've had that moment at some point or another.
I love that you said that, because one of the biggest piece I think about getting a job is not that it pays a lot of money. It is the fact at the end of the day, can you say you've got some piece of fulfillment of being in that role? And that means, did you learn something? Are you learning something? Do you add value to your career space for your next? Because I tell people, every job you're in, it's not like the old school. We don't go to jobs and stay there 25 years anymore. You're going to outgrow that job faster because we're in a fast-paced environment. Corporate America moves so fast that if you don't keep up with it, if you don't get your business acumen up, if you're not paying attention to how things are moving, then you're going to get lost. And yeah, you will be stuck and you will be miserable. But if you're learning, you're excelling, you're connecting, you're networking, you treat your job like you're preparing for your next. And we teach people that because this might not be your only job unless you're the CEO of the company, which will take years for you to get there, but work your way, your magic, because now you're preparing yourself for your next. And I think that's exactly what we talk about when you think about it from a spiritual standpoint. You're there to learn, get this information, grow, and now you're prepared for your next blessing, because that's even better. That's more important. That's more fulfillment. That's more money. That's all the opportunities that you need to be successful for your next. So I'm glad you spoke that, because that is definitely heavily something I practice. A lot of people that come to me have been in jobs 14 years and they've been miserable 14 years. Now they don't know how to get out of that job. So it's like, okay, I got to I'm not bringing you to square one, but I'm bringing you back to your mindset, because that's the piece what you miss. You miss the mindset of why you're there. And now it's time for you to move to the next, but let's go ahead and get you in shape for that next role. And that's going to be super important. So I'm glad you spoke about that because,
Can I add to that?
yeah,
I think that there's also oftentimes, and I've experienced this, sometimes the rub at the jobs when it's not good are the people, right? There's
yes,
someone
yes,
you're not getting along with, or there's some decision that's been made, and now you've got to work with, and what's always been helpful to me that kind of adds on to what you were just saying is that I have been in many jobs where I recognize this is not my forever role.
mm-hmm.
And the person that's causing me so much strife and grief, this might be their forever role. Like this might be where they're the top of their mountaintop. And so they're
Yeah,
going to hold on as tight as they can to the top of their mountaintop to the point where you're like, why are you making this so difficult? But once I
okay,
realized, oh, they're holding on tight because this is where they want to be for the next 15, and I just need to
mm-hmm.
get what I need to get so I can keep it moving. It allows me to work better. And there's been times even now, not
Mm-hmm.
recently, but there's been times where I haven't gotten along with someone years later. You feel like you know how to manage people, and then you get one or
Mm-hmm.
two and you're like, what? Like it's a step back. And I have to remind myself, like, I have ownership over my joy in this workplace.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm unhappy, I need to be proactive and figure out, well, what can I change this? Can I change that? Maybe I can work on this on the side to bring me a little bit of joy when, the season, everything else is not good. But I think there's a level of ownership that is required in the workplace, especially in corporate America, for our own happiness. That's not selfish and, you know, demeaning to others, but we have to do it in a way that elevates others, right? And
Right.
elevates ourselves so that we can get to that next point. And then I would also say, like, when I was younger, I used to say, I don't care about titles. Like, just give me
Mm-hmm.
my pay and da-da-da.
Mm-hmm.
I no longer feel that way. I think I think there's a problem because I think we're in this society now where we hand out titles like they're candy, and people walk into a job with this big title and don't know how to do the work at that level,
Exactly.
right? So
Exactly.
that is a problem. But I do think we need to be more intentional about getting the right title at the right level and getting paid the right pay, because the pay disparities are egregious, right?
Horrible.
And you want to make the money that you need to make at this stage in life, at a younger stage in life, so that when you get to an older stage of life, you're comfortable. Like you don't have the
Yeah.
energy. I can speak from experience. I don't have the energy to do some of the things I did when I was 25. I don't want to do the things I was doing at 25. And
You're
so,
25 now. Don't even.
yeah, that was that milestone. Yes, 25. No, but seriously, like I think that, that I think it's not that like titles don't matter as much, or I do believe like if you're truly tapped in and in flow, like the money will come. So I don't think you have to like scrounge it about that. But I do think we have to be a bit more intentional about the titles and the resources that we get, because we're giving a lot of time and energy to these corporations, so we need to make sure we're getting what we need on the other side of it.
What do you say to African American woman who's hit that ceiling and just frustrated? Like we've been there. You've probably been there. I know I've been there, and they don't know what to do next. Like, how do I get out of this? I preach one way, but I also want to understand where people mindset and how they're thinking. But I know corporate America is rough on Black women. It's hard. It's very hard. And I had to manage several Black women. Shout out to all of them. And I'm trying to mentor them and usher them, but I'm not there yet either. So it's hard for me to try to get them in other roles when they're being blocked in so many levels, having these skill sets that is applicable, but just not seen as the person people end up not being comfortable. That's all it is. I'm just not comfortable with you as a Black woman on my team. So, I guess I wanted just to pick your brain. How should somebody start thinking about their value and being in corporate America as a Black woman?
So, I mean, I'm gonna say a couple of things that are probably not popular opinion. One, I've mainly lived in like big cities, So New York, LA, Atlanta, DC, like major cities. And so I recognize the way I flow and the way things flow in like the bigger cities may be different than a smaller city. There may be, I would imagine, I don't know if this is fact, but I would imagine there are people in longer tenured roles in your mid-size and smaller cities than there are in your big cities. People move around all the time. I personally just believe, especially as we get older, like we just know so much. Like the solution for me when I was in that job that I couldn't stand and I was in tears was to find, it kind of happened by happenstance, but it was truly a solution, was to find an outlet that brought me joy. And that outlet was grits, right? So it was something outside of work. Now, what happened was that began to grow. And then all of a sudden I'm dedicating the same amount of time. And then you have a decision to be made. Do you do something? Do you leave at that point because you've created something that you could step off to easily? Do you continue to do both? So I think one thing is just an entrepreneurial path, I think is always, it can be a lot of work, but it also can bring a lot of joy and satisfaction. I think too, if you're in some place that you're trying, I always talk about, there's a difference between mentors and advocates. And my career, I would honestly say I have had more advocates than mentors. I'm not saying that's the right way, but the mentor is the person that you can talk to and can give you advice. The advocate is the person that can open the door or make sure your seat doesn't disappear, And so I wonder if there's, situations where searching for a new kind of partner in crime within the organization may start as a mentor and become an advocate, or, is a path that can be taken. And then 3, I would say, and I know it's easier said than done, especially in the environment we're in right now, like sometimes it's time to go. And sometimes you're so uncomfortable and so miserable because God is telling you and has been telling you, it's time to go, and you have to examine, well, why am I still here? Is it fear? Am I holding on so tight to this $5 that I don't notice there's a $20 at my foot?
Right.
And like, so I think that there's some kind of, to your very first question, who am I? Is there like questions that need to be answered? And then once you answer it and you recognize, you know what, it is time for me to go. They don't value me. That's the worst thing for anybody, but especially I think for Black women, is when you feel like you're putting a lot out there and you're not valued. And sometimes we make I've done it. I've done it recently where I just recognize, like, I'm making myself very small here. And I have to say, okay, why is this? And then am I making myself small here so that I have the energy to do something else? Am I making myself small here because this isn't the place for me? Am I making myself small here because I'm shortchanging myself and I need to stand up and like do more and raise my hand more? Like, I think there's just, you have to examine it. So I would say those are the 3 things.
Introspection, self-evaluation. These are some of the things I don't think people do regularly or do enough of. Some people wait till the end of the year, New Year's, and say, all right, now it's time to think about how I'm going to treat 2025. I myself, and I try to get people to get in the habit of monthly checking in, quarterly checking in, 6-month valuation, because you have to do it for yourself to figure out who you are. And like we said, if you don't know who you are, this is whether you're looking for a relationship, trying to get into a company, dealing with your family, then you can't tell people what you need and what you want. If you don't know that information, then you can't expect yourself to excel and go to the next level. And this is why I tell people, you have to be clear. What is it that you want? Because if you're at this job trying to get this dollar, and like you said, you got to make that decision. I got 20 years of experience. What can I do with this experience? I can create entrepreneurship. Easy, or like you said, mentors. I say mentors, sponsors, and advocates. Maybe they can help me take this experience in this company somewhere else in another role, build a bridge for me. Then, you know what? There's somebody going to pay me triple over here at this company, and I'm ready to make that jump. And those are the avenues. Like you spelled it out perfectly. Those are the avenues because you have more joy on the other side when you put the effort, but you got to know who you are.
Yeah. 100%.
You got to know who you are.
100%.
You got to know who you are. This is great. You've dropped a lot of nuggets. Let me tell you something. I want to jump back in the Grits and Biscuits, because I know you guys got something planned for the next coming year. 2025 it's got to be amazing. I know every year it gets better. In 15 years, I mean, that's a celebration. What did you do for the 15-year anniversary?
Well, that'll be next year. Next year will be the 15th.
It'll be next year.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, can I go? Where's it going to be at? I'll just let me know. I'm showing up in a
I'll keep
tuxedo
you
with some
posted.
Jordans.
Check out Grits and Biscuits on Instagram or gritsandbiscuits.com. But yes, we'll make sure
Yeah.
you know what's going
That's
on.
what's up. Man, that's got to be incredible. Got to be incredible. Anything amazing and different that you guys are thinking about doing? I mean, you don't have to tell if you don't want to, but if you do, share.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're just always having constant conversations around, expansion, partnerships,
Mhm.
trying new things. The pandemic was hard for all live events, and so we kind of
Mhm.
came out crawling on the other side.
Right.
Crazy that 2020 was our 10-year anniversary year, and we had all these things on, deck, and
Mhm.
everything went away.
Yeah.
Now, we're just 5 years out of the height of the pandemic. Being next year, we just want to be thoughtful about, what we do and how we celebrate. And I talked about Alzo and Maurice, but Vito and Amir and JJ, they always have really great ideas too. And so we'll figure something. There'll be more news to come.
With this business and being a founder, I know you have drummed and bumped elbows with lots of celebrities. Who have you met? Who have you bumped elbows with over the time? I know you've met a lot of incredible people. I mean, you took
Oh, I
Grits
don't
and Biscuits
know.
to Essence Fest. I know some people have been there. I've seen.
It's funny because we don't really do like, if you've been to Grits, like we don't do VIP, situations. And so it's always interesting when someone's there and you don't really know they're there and you going back and you're looking at pictures and you're like, oh, wow, so-and-so was there. And there's rumors about folks that have been in the building. The cool thing that we always like is like everyone's on the same page, right? We're all just here to party. We're all just here to have a good time. If you're a celebrity,
Yeah.
you're either going to be in the crowd or you're going to be on the stage with a whole bunch of other people, and that's what I think makes it special. Hopefully has made it special to folks over the years. Yeah, it's been a blessing in many ways, hopefully for many people.
That's amazing. I love the we always want to go to a safe space. I mean, how many times you were younger, you went somewhere, your mom was like, all right, now where you going? What are
Yeah.
you doing? Who you gonna be with? And it's like, and now somebody, oh, I'm going to Grits and Biscuits. Oh, you fine. Go ahead.
Yeah.
They're safe over there. You ain't gonna worry about nothing. So I like
But we
that.
always
I
used to
like
say,
you
like,
said
I
that.
mean, our audience, some of the venues when we first started out they weren't used to having parties like ours, and afterwards, at the end of the night, almost shocked. They would be like, this was so great. There was no issues. Da, 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 da. And we're just like,
Right.
these just folks that want to have a good time and
You're
have
right.
something to lose. Like, we got to go to work on Monday. Like, nobody's trying to
You're
be,
right.
like, that's why
Right.
sometimes on the mic you'll hear, like, you might be dancing with your dentist, you don't know. Like, but either way, that dentist
Right.
has to get work on Monday. And so we're just,
Right.
it's just a safe space to get loose and have a good time.
Always fun to do that, and especially no matter what age, even when you get older, can I cut loose again? And I think you have opened that door for the aunties and uncles out there. And even if you, we get to still party a little bit and sweat and say, we
Yeah,
had a
why not?
time last night.
That's right. That's right.
Man. All right. I had this question written down because obviously since you're a creator, but you're a lover of music, and I'm telling you, I'm connected to you in ways you don't even know. I said, man, she likes music. She had to like music to even be in this space. Who's your top 5 rappers? Go ahead.
Oh, no. Kind of quick.
Hey, on the spot.
No, the top 5 rappers. Okay. Well, the reason I say I'm gonna give you top 5 rappers that I like, but
Okay.
the guys from Grits tease me because I'm not really like the hip hop hit. Like, they play Lloyd, Girls All Around the World for me because I like the R&B. Like, I'm the R&B girl. Now if
Yeah.
you've been to Grits recently, we got a little gospel set. Like, that's me.
Yeah.
Gospel,
Yeah.
R&B, like, yes. But rap. Okay, so top 5 rappers. I would say, in no particular order, I love Outkast. I love Tribe. I mean, these aren't individual rappers. It's gonna be a mix.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm with you.
Okay. I, you know what album that I love. I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, I need to listen to this because I used to listen to it all the time back in high school. The DOC's first album. Loved it. Loved it.
Wow. And he's an incredible lyricist.
Exactly.
Incredible.
Loved it.
Incredible.
Loved it. People sleep on that, but I love that album. So that's an album, but that's not rapper. Okay, let me think who else. I gotta throw Biggie in there. He was fun. And I did not enjoy, I think I have a greater appreciation for Tupac after his passing than when he was alive. But I appreciate Tupac. This is more than 5.
You got 4.
Because I also think lyricist and rapper are 2 different things. But who else do I? Rakim.
There you go.
Rakim.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid. I always said that because I thought, well, then I could have asked you what's your Dirty South songs, but I can go gospel too. Trust me. I have a 27-hour gospel playlist. Gospel. My share and stuff. So we still good. Go ahead. I got to look. I'm looking at you up here. I'm going to cut it out, but it switched to my computer. So I'm going to look at you at the camera. So you're fine. So you said you can give me your top 5 gospel.
Oh, yeah. Top 5. I can do top 5 gospel.
All right.
I think just vocally, like voice, I think Marvin Winans and Marvin Sapp are like 2 of my favorite. Absolutely love. I'm just doing vocalists.
Okay.
Tamala Mann.
Oh, yes.
Change
me, oh God.
Come bring me to tears, just even thinking about it. Leandria. Bring me to tears.
Leandria, bring you to tears.
And then this is not like
songs will bring you to tears.
Not like and then not like vocalists, but just like catalog of music. Like Kirk Franklin. Every time I see Kirk Franklin live, like just love it all. But then there's so many others. But those would be like the ones that come for different reasons.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure those go hard at Grits and Biscuits. You got to play Melodies from Heaven. Everybody's gonna sing that. You got to play.
We do some Fred Hammond. We've done Fred Hammond before.
You got to do Fred Hammond.
Good. Yes, always.
Let the praise. I'll listen to that today.
Yeah, exactly.
See, it's crazy. I like to share this story with people. But I said when I first started doing playlists, I did a 6-song playlist of my favorite songs, and I said play these songs at my funeral. But I was like, as I started growing spiritually, it was like, well, I expanded that playlist and it went. I said, so these are the songs I need to live. I don't want this when I die. So now again, 6 songs. I told the storm is over now. Total praise.
I love it.
Was it Smokey Norfolk? Who else was it? Man, I could look at my playlist right now and it's be in tears, but it's 27 hours worth of gospel, church, old school, new school. I love Maverick City. I love Elevation Church, all of that. Like I play it, repeat, and my daughter loves it too. So,
but I love it. I just went to a gospel concert in LA and it was the last stop on the tour and it was Marvin Sapp, Fred Hammond, Kirk Franklin, Yolanda Adams, and the Clark sisters. The Clark sisters, I don't know, they're in my top 5 too. That show was so amazing. Yeah. It was so amazing. Like I can't
believe the Clark sisters are still going. Yeah. That's like 50 years almost. I mean, good gracious, they've been going for a minute.
Karen Clark at that show in LA, Karen Clark sang out of her wig. Like her hair just fell to the ground and she kept singing. And she was singing, yes, that's my hair. This is my real hair. But she was singing it in the same gospel as the song she was singing previously when her hair fell to the ground. I was like, yeah, they'll give you a show.
This is awesome. I think I saw that on Instagram. That was, hey, you don't miss a beat when you're a professional. That's the whole rule.
Here we go.
So, but yeah, this is awesome, beautiful. I know you said it earlier, but let's repeat it again I got to ask my last question to you. And usually I switch this up. I have 2 questions. And you had an amazing childhood, so I want to ask that one. I think you had a great upbringing. So usually I ask is, what advice would you give to yourself back in the day? But it seemed like you had the right tribe. Anyway, so I would ask this to you.
I can answer that question, but you tell me what, I can answer either one.
I'm going to go with, what advice would you give to a young, aspiring woman or man today that wants to be an entrepreneur? What would you tell them? Maybe 3 keys or whatever keys to success that they should actually keep in mind.
So my answer to that question is also going to be somewhat an answer I would have told my younger self.
Okay.
So one, I would say, don't take the things that you're interested in or that bring you joy for granted, right? So in spite of what everyone else is doing, if you could spend hours doing X and you enjoy it, there could be a path to entrepreneurship in that. So it doesn't have to just be a hobby. That's the first thing. And explore what that looks like. Two, I would say as an entrepreneur, every experience is an opportunity to put something in your toolkit. I often say, especially for young people, something I wish that was said to me: use your 20s to explore, figure out what you like, try a bunch of different things. Don't put too much pressure. You don't have to be 20 under 20 or 30 or 30 under 30. Don't worry about that.
Right.
Like, just explore, try a bunch of things, figure out what you like, figure out what you don't like. Use your 30s. Like, by the time you get to your early to mid 30s, start focusing in on something. And the reason you want to do that is so that by the time you're in your 40s, in your late 40s, you are known for something and you are paid handsomely for that. And that could be as an entrepreneur, or that could be within corporate America. Doesn't matter. Like, by your 40s, by your late 40s, you want to be chilling. And you want to be doing something that comes to you so easily, but you get paid so handsomely for it that if you have other entrepreneurial ideas or other things you want to do on the side, you have the bandwidth and the resources to do those things.
Right.
That would be number two. So one, don't take your hobbies for granted. Two, like, let's be intentional about how we spend our time during our decades. And three, if you are going to be an entrepreneur with others, you got to have the right people around you. You need to be intentional about your community, and you need to be intentional about your business partners. And there may be business partners in your life that are there for a reason and some for a season, and that's okay too. But you need to, the best way to success, from my experience, is having business partners that there's a mutual level of respect for each other's talents and gifts. There's, we're all on the same page as far as where we want to take this. And in some cases, it's like they become family. But that's important.
Overall, be intentional.
Yes.
I mean, that's been, I think that's my word for 2024 has been intentional. Be intentional about everything, whether it's fun, whether it's learning, be intentional about it. Don't do it halfway. Be serious about it. So this is amazing, great, beautiful. This is empowering. I mean, I got 2 pages. I like to take notes. The reason why I tell my folks to watching, take notes, because now you're learning from some of the best people out here in the game, in the business. Erika Grits and Biscuits is doing phenomenal. Your team, everybody as a collective, you all are doing some great work there again. I've only heard great things about it. And then I've only heard great things about you. And then meeting you and seeing your people, the energy around it spoke volumes. So you're an incredible person. I'm glad you're on this show, blessing my show to be able to speak to people about who you are and giving this knowledge. Tell the folks how they can say hello. What if they want to reach out to you and pick your brain if they can?
Yeah. So first, Mark, I just want to say thank you for the invite. This is an amazing platform that you have, and you're doing really good work. And the fact that you're continuing to build our community by helping us just find our way. We spend so much time in our careers. So we, to your point, need to be intentional about how we spend that time. And you're really that guiding light there. So thank you for all that you do. And thank you for the invite. I guess if you want to get in touch with me, I mean, the best way is just social media, I guess. I'm ELEW59 on most platforms, and you can direct message me on Instagram, and I said most platforms, on Instagram and on TikTok. Those are the 2 ways you can get in touch with me on social media. I'm also on LinkedIn. So if you spell my name right with a K, then you should be able to find me on LinkedIn. Yeah, any of those pathways are probably the best way to reach me.
Good. Have you all done specialized parties too for folks, or thrown parties for events?
Oh yeah, we've done quite a few for hired. We've done for hired events. We've done music festivals. DJ sets at music festivals before. We've done quite a few.
Contact you for my 50th, which will be a long time from now.
Okay.
But
All
yes,
right.
we'll do
I don't
that.
know if we do like birthday parties, but yes.
Oh,
But
it's
I
gonna be
can
epic. It's gonna
definitely
be
I
a
can help you.
festival. It's gonna be a
No, all
concert.
right.
We're
Well,
gonna have.
hey. Okay. Well then let's talk. Let's talk.
Yeah, we're gonna do it in Africa too. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Oh, okay.
It's gonna be
I
big.
love
I'm
it. Let's
50.
make
I
it
mean, if I
happen.
turn 50, it's got to be that big.
Yeah, I would expect nothing less. I would expect nothing less.
Right. I'm putting it out there. We're dreaming. So, no, this is great. Folks, if you want to continue to see amazing podcasts just like this, or even tips and tricks that I am giving out constantly, I'm giving it out all the time. I'm giving you guys free game all the time. You can contact and watch us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn at Career Transformation Academy. And you can also find us on TikTok at The Blueprint by CTA. But if you want to take a deep dive in this year, 2025, we are taking the next step into career. We have an amazing team that's here to support you, get you to that next step in your career journey, but also get you to the bag. Let us show you how to do that. Let us show you how to increase and excel in your career. And again, you can find us on www.careertransformationacademy.com. Book an appointment right now today. Myself or even one of my teammates will speak to you and get you started on the pathway to success. There you have it. Erika, again, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And this is an excellent show. All I got to say
Mark.
now
I appreciate you too.
Peace.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So high up. I'm so full. Deja vu. I've been here before. Say come back down to